I guess the first question I'd like to ask is, my understanding is that's the first time you've seen the performance with the VR on it.
Yes.
And
yes.
what did you think about it?
I liked it. I liked it very much.
Yeah. And did you have any sort of instructions or expectations to the artists that you were working with about what you wanted to see?
One of the artists, you, which we will talk to later,
Yep.
we actually recorded our record in his basement, and it was coincidental that he got to make the artwork here. So, so my only request was all our songs are named after animals.
Oh, I noticed that, and the band as well. Is that
Yes.
Is that supposed to be the Drongo?
The bird.
Yeah, the bird.
Yeah. So I just wanted some animals and some nature stuff.
Well, mission accomplished there, I think.
I think so too.
Can you tell us a little bit about the venue that you performed in? That's here in Kristiansand, and
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about that.
It's a place where they make I don't know the English word, like
Props, isn't it?
props.
I think, yeah.
Thank you. For it's the theater and concert house, like the main theater and concert house in the city. So it's one of the workshops where they make the props for. So it's just a giant workshop.
Yeah, and did you think about that venue when you heard you were sort of invited to play at the festival? Was that a venue that you had in mind, or did you have to go looking to find something suitable?
For us, it was more a matter of finding just a place where we could make noise
Yeah.
that was big enough and didn't sound like shit. So, and that place was available. So.
Yeah, and how did you find, when you normally practice, do you practice in a circle like that? Probably not.
Kind of, actually.
Okay, yeah.
Because we're so many.
Yeah, so it wasn't so strange to perform.
What
in a
was
circle
strange
like
was the knowledge that there was a camera in the middle.
that? Was that blocking eye lines so that you couldn't?
No, it was very small, but
Yeah.
it was, you get very mindful not to look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think the communication was a bit like, and also the kind of vacuum you perform in when it's just a regular day,
Yeah.
and then you play like a concert, and after the concert it's still just a regular day.
Yeah. How did it sound in that venue? I was in there earlier today. It's pretty spacious. I assume the acoustics maybe not so great. Or was it okay?
No, it was actually we play fairly loud, and it actually worked great. We put all the amplifiers because there's 6 amplifiers, 6 people.
Yep.
So we put all the amplifiers just behind me, so all the sound was coming from one.
Okay.
From one
Yeah.
place, so it worked surprisingly well, actually.
And then, as far as song selection go, are there a few more songs in the repertoire, or?
Yes, there are, but it's a matter of finding the right puzzle pieces and it's just a matter of length.
Yeah, true.
Because all the songs are also fairly long, so when you play for like 40 minutes. It's only a certain selection of songs that will fit.
And what did we have there? 3, I think.
4.
4. Okay.
4 songs.
Yeah. And what were the titles? Just for some of the people that are a bit new. To the band?
It was Katten, which is Norwegian for the cat.
Yep.
And it was Hester, which is Norwegian for horses.
It's like a nice little refresher lesson for me.
And it was Slange, which is Norwegian for snake, and the last one was pangolin.
And did the fact that you were performing for this festival change anything about sort of the set list? If you were playing physically live here, do you think you would have played the same 4 songs probably, or to fit that if it was a 40-minute set, or did you have any decisions to cut songs that might be better for live streaming, or not really?
The thing is, we were asked because I think there was a band that pulled out.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a lot of time get our shit together. So I think if we had been playing live here tonight, I think we would have thought more about it.
Yeah.
And that may have influenced something, because at the time it was more a question of just what do we have, what songs do we not have to rehearse.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Cool. Well, I think whilst we have some time up our sleeves, we might invite the 3 virtual reality artists. I think we're calling you, but we can talk about that when you come up. So if I can invite Haavard, Jort and Renata up onto the stage.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So I guess I'm a bit curious about your involvement in that. I understand all 3 of you were involved in putting the virtual reality aspects together for this set. So how did you sort of go about dividing up the work? Was that difficult, or was one of you a specialist in a certain area and someone else did something? How did you split up the work?
No, I think it came quite natural. You was invited as the festival artist and created sort of a new work for this performance. So we took his lead on. Me and Renata worked a lot more on sort of the digital part of it. So we sort of took Jo's creative vision and tried to get that into VR. So we sort of. Jo was coming up with a lot of storyboards and ideas, and we worked together on how to sort of realize that into something that could fit into this sort of extended reality.
And who chose the animals out of interest? Was that you, Jo?
Well, I did, but then Renata modeled and animated them.
Yep. Yeah. So what we saw in there, a cat? Was there a dinosaur? Is that what that was, or a pangolin?
There was a pangolin.
Several pangolins.
Yeah.
Was that a little message about what's going on at the moment, or coincidental, maybe?
I had never heard about the pangolins before, but I guess now with the corona, everybody has heard about.
Yeah, they seem to have, unfortunately, a bit of a bad reputation at the moment. Don't know if that's warranted.
It's bad.
We might not be able to see it so well, but I understand you're responsible for some of the art in the television on the set tonight. So, and that seems to have that's formed some of the visuals that we saw up there, the clouds and the green balls, etc. So, that's how did you create that? Is it 3D printed, or what?
I had joined a Kickstarter 1 year ago, and I finally got my 3D printer, and so I got to try it out with these figures. And of course, when you have already the 3D models, it's
that was going to be my next
easy.
question. What came first? So had you created the models for the visuals first, and then you decided, hey, I've got my printer, so why not print some of them?
Yeah.
Nice. And how did you find sort of mapping to that room? In that was it helpful to have the big room that the performance was done in to do the visuals in? I assume sort of having those big walls might have created some like nice platforms to put art against, or is it difficult to work with, or?
Well, I was also on the set before the shooting, so we had to tidy up quite a bit, even if it looks messy now. It's
And so did you choose some of the there was some sort of cardboard or paper in the background?
Yeah,
that was there intentionally.
Cover up a bit of other things and the windows and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep. And what sort of I'm not sure. Hopefully, people are interested in this. But what sort of software were you using to do this? And did you have to take a crash course in any of it, or was this software that you already understood and knew how to operate?
I think like during the whole festival, we've sort of been using a lot of different types of softwares, but in general, we've been getting the 360 videos from the bands and with the music. Then we've been using Unity, which is Unity 3D, which is a game engine. and to merge everything together.
Yeah.
We've been working with it for quite some years, but we've sort of been giving crash course to several of the VJs that have been involved, and that's been very interesting. Working, collaborating, getting their sort of expression into VR as well, or into this immersive.
Yeah, and obviously you weren't all just involved in this set, so maybe you can tell us about some of the other bands you've worked with individually throughout the festival. There's a few other bands coming up, obviously.
Yeah, some of the bands have been sort of they've done completely their own sort of package that also had graphic designers in the band, such as Kokomo, and they did their entire whole experience themselves. But for most of the others, we've been sort of involved in one way or another to get it into VR, and then working with the VJs to sort of translate their workflow into virtual reality, basically.
And yeah, we'll obviously get to talk to some of the other bands later as well, but as far as your interactions with them, did you have any requests from bands on how to do things, or?
We settled on that we were best that we sort of made a bit of a cookbook on how to do this, what the do's and don'ts, and sort of suggested ways of doing it, and the bands were pretty free to sort of choose if they had a specific idea, and then we got briefs from all the bands. We sort of decided that would be to have constant communication back and forth would just be too much. We had that with the VJs and the artists, but having it with the bands as well would be almost a bit too much to handle.
Yeah.
So we got briefs from the bands, and some of the bands had also visuals that we would sort of riff off or almost sort of translate directly into VR. It varied a bit. Like a band like All Shall Be Well, we got parts of the visuals and sort of tried to recreate parts of it. Other bands, we used it more sort of directly.
Yeah, and what sort of role did you listen to the music of the bands a lot?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah,
That sounds like a yes.
Well, we've been all three of us been humming Slange constantly. I think it's you have to listen a lot to the music, but it was pretty intense because we got sort of pre-productions or set list before and tried to listen in on it, but you can never plan these things too much almost, because it's different when you get material, you get the stage, you get the actual recordings, but then I've been listening to it the whole lot.
And
grading
it was a bit hard to tell here with some of the small glitches that were happening, but were the animals tending to sort of bob along in time with the music as well? Was that part of
it's all sort of animated.
Each minute is
perfectly curated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how did you find working with? Obviously, there's some very different types of music at this year's Vivid, in that Drongo is quite nice and upbeat, and some of the other artists are obviously a lot heavier. So
it's I think it's cool. This year it seems like it's a pretty big span from sort of the more sort of jazzy and upbeat of Drongo to the really sort of heavy stuff.
Yeah.
There's some pretty heavy bands. But I think it's great. I mean, it's quite interesting too, because each of the bands also have their sort of visual expression and their whole sort of their own sort of visual worlds as well. So that's been interesting to work. It would be very boring if everything was the same, especially to work with as well. And I think hopefully the audience will get that experience too. It's you get this to sample these different worlds in a way.
Yeah, and maybe I'll come back to you, Hans. Do you sort of, when you're making your music, think about any sort of visual aspect of it at all, or is it purely, we're making the music, we like the music on its own, or do you ever think about maybe this would be cool to play with some visuals or with something, red balls bouncing around from the roof?
No. It's only the music, and it's in our band. It's quite a lot of improvisation.
Yeah.
So we work very much on just finding a theme and just playing it and playing it and playing it until everyone has the same you could call it an image of what the song is supposed to sound like.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's more like a soundscape.
yeah. And was there much room for improvisation then in the visual department then?
I think it definitely was. I mean, we had sort of the titles, and they're quite strong when you sort of, because music is quite open, but when you get these titles and you kind of create these own worlds inside your head based around the animals and the relation to the music. But I think this one, Drongo's visuals, we did really quite differently. You'll see later on, like quite a lot of the other bands have quite different visuals in the sense that these ones are almost could be sort of augmented reality or extended reality. It's more sort of points in space, just like the music is these sort of points interacting, whereas the others have much more sort of heavy visuals as well. The music is heavy, but it's much more sort of going on as more broader brushstrokes maybe, and quite intense. It's going to be quite intense in VR. So.
And did you feel a special connection with the music, having had it recorded in your basement?
Yeah.
To then get to do the visuals for it as well? Did you?
Yeah.
Maybe were you thinking about it at all in the background? Maybe that you might want to do some visuals for it in the future, or not really?
Wasn't really thinking about that, but it has been a lot of fun, and of course I knew all the songs from listening to them through the ceiling. So yeah, and. But it's always like this balance of like how much space should the visuals take and how much should the musicians and have. So we tried to keep it a bit like in the
Balance,
rhythm
maybe,
of the
yeah.
music also. Like it builds up a bit slowly. So yeah.
Cool. And then obviously there's a few songs available at the moment. Hester and Cutten are both fairly widely available. Can we expect anything soon in a physical format or anything like that? No pressure. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, yeah. We have 2 songs out, and there will be coming a single in maybe a couple of months.
And will that be one of the ones that we've seen there?
No, no.
Another one with an animal title, perhaps?
Yeah, and the album will be out sometime after New Year. We were before the whole
The thing that shan't be spoken of. Yeah.
Shit. We were supposed to play some shows this summer, and then we were supposed to release the album like around now, but we postponed the whole thing. So now it's just like
Are you just waiting for the right time now, basically?
yeah,
or?
it's more like just throwing a stone and hope it hits the target.
But you have played live relatively recently, right, at Vaktboer here in Kristiansand?
We did the other live stream concert.
Yeah, and how was I didn't get to see it myself, but how was that? One of these sort of 50 people only having to sit at tables?
It was quite fun actually, because you had this. You had the people that had paid to be there, and this was outside. So you had this area where there were, I think, 30 people on seats, 1 meter apart from each other, and you had this white wooden fence, and all the people were sitting like this. They didn't dare to do anything.
Do you think that's because they were being streamed, maybe, or?
It was like fairly short time after we were allowed, or the places were allowed to actually have people, so the rules were a bit in the air. So, but on each side of the fence, there were a lot of people having fun.
We noticed
dancing.
that last year we had Dualistic play an outdoor set, which was quite fun because a lot of passers-by would poke their head over. So they were enjoying themselves, but not so much.
I felt kind of guilty for the people that had paid money to sit like this, and all the people that didn't pay anything, that stood like 5 meters to the side and just had a good time.
There's not too much you can do about that, I guess. So do you have any plans for more concerts then, or do you just sort of take them as you can get them at the moment?
There is like we have plans, and but each time you ask the concert place, they're like, yes, it will happen maybe, and so we don't know. But maybe in the fall, we're maybe gonna play some concerts for actual people.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, looking forward to that.
And then for our VR artists, do you have? Is this something that you do quite often, working with musicians, or is this a big part of your work, or sort of a one-off? How does this sort of fit in with your usual work stream?
Both me and Renata are architects.
Okay.
Yeah, and nowadays working slightly more with traditional architecture, but we both work with art, music, sort of throughout our work.
Geeky things in general.
Sort of combining technology and art.
Did you enjoy the experience? Can you see yourself doing this more in the future?
Definitely. I think what's interesting is that the whole situation with COVID-19 is it's been something extremely unexpected, and it's had massive consequences. But it also, I think, people have had to be creative and to stay sane and stay healthy. So this also opened the possibility. We've been working with VR for several years. I think around 4 to 5 years myself, and sort of been following along, and it's sort of been sitting there in its own sort of scene in a way, where people have really been pushing the really high end of the technology, but all of a sudden, sort of have to take what we have and, make a whole festival in VR. It's a quite, big undertaking. So I think it's just going to becoming more of this, because now everyone's just sort of like, oh, what's this, because normally people have been saying that, why would I watch this in VR? Why wouldn't I just go to the concert? Now you just can't, so it's pushing a lot of new genres as well, and the new sort of new scenes into using this technology, which I think is exciting.
Yeah, I think post-rock's very much a genre that's ripe for exploring visual options.
Definitely. Yeah. That's why it's a very good fit as well, and it's an interesting one because it's rock. Because normally rock is fairly conservative, but post-rock definitely, and the festival, Vivid Festivals as well, really has this strong connection to the visuals as well. So it's just a perfect match.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get to see you all contributing again with next year. Hopefully it's a physical version.
Hopefully.
We'll see what happens. But I guess, do you have any tips for people that maybe watch this and think, oh, this is cool, this is something I'd like to get into, as to how you can pick this up? Maybe a visual artist or someone who's got a 3D printer and is a bit bored.
I think it's just like Unity that we've been working with now. Like it's actually free to use unless you have like so and so high revenue, and you could just download it off the net, and I think that's what's really cool about it right now, that there's this whole online community, which is sort of what we're tapping into with this festival now as well. Just get on there, get on the forums, and download it and go on YouTube and just start, because you can really just
it's all open source, so you can learn anywhere, anytime.
Cool. Well, I think we're slowly running out of time here, so thank you so much for your contributions to the festival, taking time out and sort of sitting in this strange format with a dark room and having an interesting conversation. I hope this is interesting at home as well. Coming up next will be All Shall Be Well after a 10-minute break, and don't forget to swap over to the YouTube channel at live.vividpostrock.no. And perhaps just for the people in here, can we have a round of applause for the people up here on stage?
Thank you.